Speak now, or forever hold your peace. Simone dropped the bouquet. It hit the sanctuary floor with a soft, terrible thud, white roses scattering across the burgundy carpet. And for one full second nobody moved, not Jada standing at the altar in her mother's pearls, not Andre in his charcoal tux with his jaw already tightening, not the 200 people holding their breath in the pews. I can't, Simone said, her voice cracked wide open. Jada, I can't let you do this. Jada laughed, a short, confused sound, the kind you make when your brain hasn't caught up to the wrongness in the room yet. Simone, what? I'm already married to him. Simone was crying now, mascara running in 2 black lines, her maid of honor dress suddenly looking like a costume in the wrong play. 8 months ago, the courthouse on Vine Street. I have the certificate in my purse right now because I knew if I didn't bring it, I'd let this happen anyway. The organ music that had been holding its final chord, let it die. Jada turned to Andre. He wasn't looking at Simone. He wasn't looking at the 200 people whose Sunday best now felt like witnesses to a crime scene. He was looking at his own hands, turning his wedding band, the one for this wedding, the one he hadn't paid off yet, around and around his finger like he could spin it into a different truth. Andre, Jada's voice came out smaller than she meant it to. Tell her she's lying. He didn't say anything. His jaw worked. A muscle jumped high on his cheek, and his throat moved once hard, like he was swallowing something that wouldn't go down. Andre, Jada, tell her she's lying. He looked up then, and his eyes were wet, and that was the answer. That was the whole answer. 14 months of engagement, 6 months of wedding planning, $40,000 her parents had spent on a reception they'd never eat, and the answer was a man's silence and the wet shine in his eyes refusing to meet hers directly. Jada looked down at the certificate Simone was holding out with a shaking hand. She didn't take it. She didn't need to. She already knew, in the animal part of her brain that processes betrayal faster than logic, that it was real. She took off the veil first, calmly, like she was taking off a coat. Then she looked at Pastor Reeves, who was standing there holding an open Bible he no longer knew what to do with, and she said, in a voice that carried to the back pew, I think we're done here. 14 months earlier. Jada met Andre at her cousin's cookout, the kind of meeting so ordinary neither of them remembered later who introduced who. He liked that she didn't rush anything, and she liked that about him too. 6 weeks in, she brought him to Sunday dinner. Vivian liked him immediately. Delphine, more cautious, said only, he's got a nice face. Nice face don't tell you what's underneath it, and went back to her cornbread. Simone had been Jada's best friend since sophomore year of nursing school, load-bearing, permanent, or so it seemed. When Jada introduced them at her 28th birthday party, Simone hugged Andre like she was hugging an extension of Jada herself. Anybody who makes my girls smile like that is family, she'd said, and Jada believed her without a flicker of doubt. What Jada didn't know was that 4 months in, during a rocky stretch that spring when she'd pulled back to figure some things out, Andre had leaned on Simone for comfort, and comfort became something else, and something else became a courthouse on Vine Street with 2 witnesses neither Jada nor her family would ever meet. Andre told himself it was a mistake sealed shut, a door nailed closed the second Jada came back around. He never told himself the truth, a nailed shut door is still a door. He proposed to Jada 3 months later. Simone stood beside her at the engagement party, glass raised, saying all the right things, while twice a month, quietly, he wired money to an apartment across town where she was carrying his last name. He believed that if he moved fast enough toward the wedding, the other truth would just get left behind in the dust of it. Some men build their whole lives on that math. It rarely works out the way they hope. Back at the altar, in the present, none of that mattered anymore. The lie had run out of road. Nobody talks about what happens in the 20 minutes after a wedding stops being a wedding. The caterers still plate the salmon. The DJ still doesn't know whether to play music. Jada's mother, Vivian, found her in the bride's room 40 minutes later, sitting on the floor in her wedding dress with her back against the wall, still in her makeup, dry-eyed in a way that scared Vivian more than crying would have. Baby, I need you to call the venue and tell them not to serve the cake, Jada said. I don't want $300 of cake going out with my name on it while everybody in there is talking about me. Jada, I need you to do that, Mama. Vivian sat down on the floor next to her daughter, ruining her own dress, and didn't say anything else for a long time. That was the gift Vivian gave her that day, not advice, not scripture, not a single word about God's plan. Just the floor and her daughter's shoulder against hers, and enough silence for Jada to fall apart in. I introduced them, Jada finally said. Simone and Andre. I introduced my best friend to my fiancé at my own engagement party because I trusted both of them with my whole life. I know. 8 months, Mama. She's been my maid of honor for 8 months while she was already his wife. I know, baby. How do you plan somebody's bachelorette party while you're married to their fiancé? Vivian didn't have an answer for that because there wasn't one that made any human sense. Some kinds of betrayal don't have architecture you can walk through and understand. They just are a wall where a door used to be. Andre didn't call for 3 days. When he finally did, Jada let it go to voicemail 4 times before she picked up on the 5th. I need you to know it wasn't planned, he said. No hello, Simone and I, it happened while you and I were on a break back in the spring. I thought it was over. You married her, Andre. People don't accidentally end up at a courthouse. I know how it sounds. It doesn't sound like anything. It is something. You let my mother pay a deposit on a reception hall. You let me pick out china with a woman who was legally your wife. His breathing got ragged, not crying, exactly, just a man trying to hold a shape he couldn't hold anymore. I didn't know how to stop it once it started. So what was your plan, Andre? What was the version where I never found out? Silence, then, quietly, I think some part of me thought God would sort it out before it came to that. He did, Jada said, just maybe not the way you were hopping. Whispers moved through the congregation the way they always do, half information dressed up as certainty. Some blamed Jada for not seeing it coming. Simone stopped coming to service, too ashamed to sit where she'd once stood as a bridesmaid. Jada stopped going for 6 weeks. Not out of anger at God, she was clear-eyed enough to know the difference, but because she couldn't yet sit in a room full of people who'd watched the worst moment of her life happen under stained glass. It was her Aunt Delphine, not a pastor, who said the thing that stuck. They were in Delphine's kitchen, Jada picking at a plate of food she wasn't eating. You keep saying God let this happen to you, Delphine said, stirring a pot she didn't need to stir. But baby, God didn't let it happen. He stopped it. Right there at the altar, in front of everybody, before you said one single vow to a man who already belonged to somebody else. You want to know what would have been worse than what happened to you? Finding that certificate on your first anniversary, finding it after a baby. Finding it after 10 years, when leaving costs you everything instead of just a wedding day. Jada set her fork down. He didn't ruin your wedding, Delphine said. He ruined a lie that was about to become the rest of your life. It took almost a year before Jada understood what Delphine meant all the way down in her bones, past the place where understanding is just words you agree with. She threw herself into her work at the community health clinic, picking up extra shifts not to escape the grief, but because the work reminded her who she'd been before Andre, whole on her own terms. She started running mornings before shifts, 20 silent minutes to breathe air that didn't have his name in it. Simone wrote once, a long letter Jada read exactly 1 time and never answered. Some doors you close gently, others you close because you understand they were never meant to be a door at all. The wedding china sat boxed in Vivian's garage for a year before Jada donated it to a women's shelter 2 towns over. She just drove the boxes over on a Tuesday and let a stranger's hands take them out of her life. She met Terence at a conference 18 months later. No grand gesture, no rush. He remembered small things she mentioned once and brought them up weeks later because he'd actually been listening. The first time he asked her to dinner, she told him the whole story, the altar, the bouquet on the floor, the certificate she never touched. He was quiet a moment. Then, that doesn't scare me off. It makes me want to be the kind of careful with you that earns trust instead of assuming it. It wasn't a cinematic line. It was just true, and true was the only currency Jada trusted anymore. They married 11 months later in Vivian's backyard, 30 guests, string lights instead of stained glass. Pastor Reeves, invited this time only as a guest, asked to say a blessing before the meal. He kept it short. "Some of you were in the room the last time," he said, and a ripple moved gently through the small crowd. That day didn't end this woman's story. It ended a lie that was pretending to be one. And look what came after, not because the pain didn't matter, but because it wasn't the final word. Jada, standing in the yard where she'd learned to be alone before she learned to be chosen again, didn't need him to explain it further. She already knew. She'd lived the whole sermon before he ever preached it.